Howdy, Space Rangers, Captain Phoenix here. Now, if you're into quality, then you've probably heard of this show, specifically this theme.
Spectacular, 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 spectacular.
Yeah, me too. It's a great show, one of my favorites of all time. Honestly, I do think this is the best version of Spider-Man, and I even said as much in the past. But I don't think I've ever gone in depth as to why I love this show so much. So, this is that video. I'm gonna talk about my favorite episode from the series Spectacular Spider-Man. Of course, unlike the Attack on Titan video, I didn't come up with this one on my own. A YouTuber by the name of Scarlet Studios made a video talking about his favorite Spectacular Spider-Man episode. I did ask him if it was okay for me to tag him and jump on the trend, and of course, as you can see, he did approve. So yeah, go check out Scarlet Studios. Link to his channel and video will be in the description down below. And of course, thank you Scarlet Studios for inspiring this video. And let's see if we can actually set a chain or a trend of people talking about this magnificent show. Because I do think the more attention it gets, the better. So, while we wait for eternity for this show to come back, I figured I'd talk about my favorite episode. For Scarlet Studios, it was a Lizard episode. For me, it was Identity Crisis. So you're probably thinking to yourselves, what is Identity Crisis? Well, it's an episode that comes in the midpoint of Season 2. The main story of this episode is that Venom reveals to the world that Peter is Spider-Man. So now Peter/Spidey spend the episode trying to clear his name, while Venom does everything in his power to expose him and have Spidey's villains riled up and put his loved ones in danger. So while the story is incredibly simple, the way they go about it is very compelling. So as you heard from my description, this episode was basically No Way Home before No Way Home, although I do think they handled the concept slightly better in my opinion. The greatest praise I can give to this episode is the writing. Like, characters will do certain things or have motivations that explain why they're doing them, and they are all explained or delivered to the audience in a really quick and easy way. And especially for an episode that's like about 20 minutes long, they really are able to cram so much stuff here in a very quick and simple way. This could be due to the fact that we already know these characters from prior episodes, or we get quick reasons for their actions within the episode itself. And I'm gonna say, in an age where every show and movie feels the need to over-explain everything or pay super attention to detail, the fact that a kids show from 2008 can give you all the information you need to know and condense it into 20 minutes is really a testament to how good it is. There are also some really good jokes sprinkled in the episode. Not a lot, but enough to keep me chuckling.
That was unpleasant. Oh great, now he's mad.
So, maybe now we can score some private rehearsal time?
I don't think you'll be needing much rehearsal. You just agreed to play Nick Bottom in A Midsummer Night's Dream. Trust me, you have that role nailed.
You know I do.
Also, I know this one isn't intentional, but I just found it so funny. Where Eddie has like this weird smile. It looks so bad. It looks like it was done in post. It's like, oh crap, we forgot to make him smile. Quick, someone fix it. Quick. Look at this. Like, what the heck, man? That's so lazy. But at the same time, just very funny. I had no choice but to just confuse laugh. However, what I really love about this episode is its core. Most people complain that superheroes with secret identities are boring, that they are formulaic and take away from interesting stories. This episode goes out of its way to prove those people wrong and shows why secret identities are important, especially in superhero stories. I'll get on the whole secret identity thing later, but for now, let's talk about the characters. Now, normally I'd put the writing and the characters in different categories, but for this episode, the characters and writing go hand in hand, and it's impossible to distinguish the two. The main characters I'm going to focus on are Flash, Peter, and obviously Spider-Man, and Venom. To get Flash out of the way, simply, I really enjoyed his character. Flash, especially throughout the course of Season 2, has such a good character arc. He honestly became one of my favorite characters of the show, and this episode highlighted that. In this episode, not only does he have some really cool screen time, but he's also, shockingly, the voice of logic and reason. He's always on Spider-Man's side and even comes in clutch in the end.
Several students saw him in a Spider-Man costume at the Halloween carnival, and he looked like a geek in footy pajamas. Anyone can suit up and pretend to be Spidey.
Season 2, and this episode in particular, did my man justice. Then we have Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, the main character. I love how Peter was written in this episode. This episode showed that he took his Spider-Man/vigilante thing seriously. He was committed to the bit, even when Venom outed him, and he still pleaded not to be Spider-Man.
Peter Parker, Are you Spider-Man?
No, for the godzillionth time, no.
That guy in black said different.
You mean the guy calling himself Venom? Does that name inspire trust?
Then how is it you're the only photographer getting pictures of the web slinger in action?
Look, he rings my cell to tip me off when he's about to fight a baddie. Guy's kind of a glory hound.
Which is a lot more than I can say for MCU Spidey. This episode showed how smart Peter is, and it goes the extra mile to really represent that. I especially love the scenes where people who've had contact with Spider-Man and Peter all have their reactions to the thought of him being one and the same when they get interviewed.
Is your nephew Spider-Man?
Am I being punked?
Peter Parker, Spider-Man?
That's got to be.
You fought Spidey. Any insight on his identity?
Nah, but I hope the Parker kid is Spider-Man. Believe me, every guy in the joint would know what to do with that info.
Peter genuinely loves being Spider-Man, but he also wants to live a normal life, so he puts in the work to make that happen, and I really love that characterization.
Put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours.
And then we have Venom. For those who don't know, this episode was the conclusion of the feud between Spidey and Venom. These two characters have had beef for the better part of a season, and I love the final confrontation of these two characters, especially with Venom using the tactic, hit them where they live. At this point in time, Eddie, someone who was considered to be Peter's brother, who worked with him and cared about Aunt May almost as much as Peter did, was no more. Venom had twisted his mind so much, fed off all his negative emotions, and was basically his devil conscious. Eddie now hated Peter so much that he didn't care if his loved ones got hurt or died in the crossfire of Spider-Man's identity reveal aftermath. I also really like what they did with Eddie. After he lost, he was taken into a psychiatric ward, but before that, he tried to get Venom back. After they were separated, you could tell that he felt like he had lost a piece of himself. That's how much Venom had twisted him. In this show, the symbiote was more like a drug, and Eddie succumbed to it. The only way Spidey could save him was by literally beating it out of him. A beautiful character with a beautiful conclusion. Of course, we have to talk about the animation and fight scenes. Spectacular Spider-Man is known for having simple animation, but that's because they save most of their budget for the fight scenes and to make them look as good as possible, and this episode is no exception. By the way, can I just say that I love the attention to detail. It's very easy to pinpoint at what time of year the show takes place in, as the animators go hard on the backgrounds and the weather as well. But yes, the fight. I adore the final fight between Spider-Man and Venom. I love the fact that it's at the school. This allows Peter to have home court advantage while still displaying his resourcefulness by using the environment to his advantage and help him win the fight, such as the car, the fountain, the lab, and even the bat. Venom also really does well in this fight, as he does not hold back and even manages to get Spidey's mask off for a second. He fights Spider-Man at the school because he knows it's a personal place for Peter and that Spidey will have a hard time fighting him while also saving people. This in turn forces Spider-Man to go full survival mode, and I love those episodes where Peter's back is to the wall, or his back is against the wall, depending on how you say it. English is weird. Another thing about the writing I'd like to mention is public opinion. Most Spider-Man stories don't focus on public opinion, and whenever they do, they always demonize Spider-Man. My most prominent example would be, of course, No Way Home. I mean, public opinion is very important to the core of Spider-Man. Why do you think characters like J. Jonah Jameson exist? But we rarely see it, and I'm glad this episode addresses it. We actually have some people siding with Spider-Man and even saying positive things about him again, like Flash Thompson, who even helped prove that Peter isn't Spider-Man. So yeah, good public opinion representation in this episode. I really like it. The episode ends with Captain Stacy giving Peter a lecture as to why secret identities matter. Captain Stacy knowing Peter is Spider-Man was actually something that was built up a lot in Season 2, as in a previous episode, Captain Stacy said this to him.
I suppose you left it on auto shoot to try to get a few pictures while indisposed.
Yeah, exactly.
My main guess as to where this storyline was going was that if they did get greenlit for Season 3, Captain Stacy would have had his suspicions confirmed and possibly either work with or have drama with Spidey. This would have delved into the subplot of Peter dating Gwen, who at the time would be in a semi-toxic relationship with Harry. So I'd assume that Captain Stacy would not be okay with Peter dating Gwen and would worry about his daughter's safety if Spider-Man's and Peter's lives would clash, which I'm assuming would have eventually happened. This was something the Amazing Spider-Man movies tapped into, but I do kind of wish the show got to it first. And of course, we have the main core of the episode, the secret identity. I already touched on it earlier, but people really don't like secret identities. They feel that they're too limiting and formulaic to tell good stories. And this is what they'd say in protest to secret identities. At least without secret identities, the heroes can ask the government for favors, or live good, or blah 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 blah. No, this episode proved them wrong. There's so much you can do with a secret identity, and I feel that this episode was one of many that barely scratched the surface of a concept like this. Not just protecting something, not just hiding something, but also protecting something, which is what Peter is doing. He's protecting the ones he loves and his personal life at the risk of being Spider-Man. Even from a writing standpoint, the secret identity also gives you a lot of things to work with, such as raising the tension or writing yourself out of a corner. I feel that the MCU would greatly benefit from embracing secret identities more. And speaking of that topic, did you know that no one in the entire show knows that Peter is Spider-Man, except Venom and maybe Captain Stacy if they were going to develop this plotline forward? Now that's how you do Spider-Man properly. All in all, for all these reasons and more, that is why Identity Crisis is my favorite Spectacular Spider-Man episode. It has good animation, great fight scenes, amazing writing, and a nice conclusion to the Venom arc. Even though the episode ended with a hint of Venom's return, I would be completely fine if it ended here. I guess it is one of the good things that came from not getting a season 3. By the way, that's the first and last time I'm saying that. However, just because I say that this episode is my favorite does not mean you should sleep on the others. This show has so many good episodes and I implore you to go watch them. Spectacular Spider-Man is not just the best Spider-Man show, but it's also the best version of the character. And even though we may never get a season 3, these first 2 seasons are near and dear to my heart, and this episode has a big role in that. Anyways, thank you guys so very much for watching. Please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be part of the team. And please comment down what your favorite episode of Spectacular Spider-Man is. Or heck, make a video about it. I really want to see if we can start some sort of trend here. I think it's about time we give this absolutely magnificent show the attention it deserves. But yeah. But anyways guys, without further ado, this has been your friendly neighborhood Captain Phoenix signing off. And with that, I will see you in another universe. Goodbye, my Rangers.